I wasn't looking for underground cities when I first came across the archival reports of the so-called construction of the first underground lines. My goal was simply to deconstruct the official 19th century estimates, but what I found made the official narrative crumble before my eyes like dry clay. They want you to believe that in the mid-1860s, men armed only with pickaxes, shovels, and primitive wooden wheelbarrows were able to build thousands of miles of perfectly aligned brick tunnels under the world's major capitals. It's a fairy tale created to hide the fact of a great inheritance. Ask yourself where the millions of tons of soil removed from the very center of overpopulated London or New York went. Why is there no complaint in the newspapers of the time about the endless queues of thousands of horse-drawn carts that would have had to haul this dirt around the clock for years? The truth lies right before your eyes, embedded in the bricks that we are accustomed to calling public transport. This was not construction. This was a large-scale clearing of the remains of the global transport system of Tartaria. Today we will conduct a full autopsy of one of the most successful deceptions in human history. Most modern historians are simply highly paid storytellers guarding the entrance to the empty room of our memory. They feed us myths about brilliant engineers who suddenly, without any prerequisites, learned how to build underground highways of such complexity that we cannot always repeat today without the use of heavy mining equipment. Have you noticed strange sinkholes in your city that suddenly reveal old, perfectly laid brick vaults where, according to no official plans, there should have been no communications? I urge you to write the name of your city in the comments right now and tell about such finds. Your testimony is what they fear most, for stones cannot lie, unlike the writers of your school textbooks whose job it is to keep you a deluded layman. Let's look back at New York in 1870. The official story refers to Alfred Eli Beach's pneumatic railway as a short, almost toy-like demonstration tunnel, only 300 feet long. But here's the strangest part they tried to erase. When workers began to extend the new subway lines in 1912, they accidentally broke through a wall and came across a luxurious station that everyone had supposedly forgotten about. It was decorated with frescoes, elaborate fountains, and even an expensive piano. Beach, we are told, built it in secret in just 58 days. Think about that number. 58 days to secretly dig up Broadway, remove thousands of tons of soil, and build a palace underground? It's technically impossible. Beach didn't build this station. He simply found it, cleaned it of dirt, and presented it as his own invention to legalize the technology of the past. When the danger of exposing the true scale of the underground network became real, the station was simply sealed up for 40 years, hoping that the memory of it would die with a generation of eyewitnesses. In Chicago, the situation is even more absurd and revealing. Underneath this metropolis, there are over 60 miles of narrow-gauge railway, the existence of which the general public only learned about by chance during the Great Flood of 1992. The official narrative claims that these tunnels were built in complete secrecy at the very beginning of the 20th century, supposedly to transport coal. 60 miles of tunnels in the center of the city, and no one noticed the excavation? This is a logical loop designed so that you don't ask the main question. These tunnels were already there. They are part of the only planetary infrastructure that the new government tried to adapt to its needs after the atmospheric signature of annihilation passed. They used these tunnels for decades, hiding them from the public because the architecture of these tracks too clearly indicated the technological regression of our generation compared to those who owned this land before us. Anomalies that are impossible to see are found in every old city in the world if you allow yourself to look without censorship. San Francisco, Istanbul, Paris, London, Street, Petersburg. Everywhere we see the same picture. They claim to have built the subway using the so-called open trench method, simply digging the streets from above. But look at old photographs of those times. You see perfect, monumental brick vaults that look much older than the surrounding buildings. Why do many subway stations have an architectural style more reminiscent of ancient temples or reception halls with marble columns and intricate bas-reliefs than functional transportation facilities? Why would 19th century investors spend incredible amounts of money on luxury deep underground, where no one can see it, if the main goal was only to save money and transport labor? This is completely illogical for the capitalist model, but quite logical for the civilization of Tartaria, where aesthetics and high energy were a single, inseparable whole. This goes much deeper than you are used to thinking. We are now approaching the most important moment of our investigation, the point where the official lie becomes transparent. You become part of a community of those who ask questions and look for the coordinates of the deception, while others continue to sleep in captivity of systemic myths. What I will reveal to you now is the key to understanding our entire modern world. Subscribe to this channel right now to have time to access the next files from my archive before they are removed from the global network for spreading the truth that destroys the foundation of their power. Together we can stop this systematic erasure of our true heritage and reclaim the right to know who we really are. The real reason why subways were built all over the world at such an incredible pace is that they were simply clearing the mud-filled tunnels of Tartaria. The great eruption left behind a thick, multi-layer layer of clay, sand, and dust that covered cities and filled underground communications. During the period of inheritance, the new masters of the world found ready-made railway tunnels that were part of the global energy network of the past. That is why, during the construction of ordinary sewers, workers so often suddenly stumbled upon already existing highways. They did not find sewers. They found transport arteries that were too complex for their primitive understanding, so they simply converted them into sewers or steam-powered subway lines. The use of steam in the first subway lines is the best evidence of technological regression. Imagine the unbearable suffocation and black soot from burning coal in tunnels with almost no ventilation. People in the 1860s literally suffocated in these cars as they tried to use primitive steam engines in a system that was originally designed for etheric energy or pure magnetic levitation. The original Tartary trains did not require the burning of coal or wood. They were powered by the resonant frequencies of the tunnel structure itself and atmospheric electricity collected by the domes on the surface. But after the global power grid was deliberately destroyed during the annihilation, the new owners had to put the old cars on heavy steam boilers, creating the illusion of progress on the ruins of a great past. Ask yourself why so many metro stations around the world, from Moscow to Buenos Aires, have identical designs, despite the fact that they were supposedly built by different engineers in different decades. This is the only global network that has been divided by artificial borders and false national histories. They divided the whole into pieces so that we could never grasp the true scale of the civilization that owned the planet before us. The excavations in Chicago, London, and New York were carried out with incredible secrecy, more reminiscent of a military operation than a civil construction project. Why do photographs of the construction of the 19th century subway so often look like shots from a doomsday movie? You see vast, empty, monumental spaces where a few workers with shovels look completely out of place and insignificant against a backdrop of majestic brick walls that go on forever. The answer is obvious to anyone who can see. These people were not building. They were simply carrying away the dirt that the Great Discharge had brought. Every brick in these tunnels was fired using a technology that required incredible temperatures and molecular precision, completely inaccessible to the smoky Victorian factories. The truth lies right before your eyes every time you descend into the deep stations of your city. Have you noticed how often the old metro is integrated into the deep foundations of buildings that, according to the official version, were built much earlier than the metro itself? It is a technical paradox. It is impossible to dig under an existing block of massive stone structures without destroying them, unless you have the technology of freezing the soil or shield tunneling of a higher order. This is possible in one case only, if the building and the tunnel under it are a single, monolithic structure designed at the same time. They were created as a single organism where the underground paths fed energy to the surface structures through the resonance of the stone. The official narrative about the construction of the metro after the construction of the city is a logical trap created only so that you do not notice the obvious fact. The global network was built first, and we are just random inhabitants who settled in its empty compartments. The coordinates of the deception indicate that even the names of many stations were changed during the inheritance period in order to completely sever any connection with the original functions of these places. What we now call passenger platforms may have previously been halls for the accumulation of etheric charges. What we think of as cable tunnels may have previously served as waveguides for the transmission of pure energy without any loss. After the global reset, knowledge of these functions was declared forbidden or simply erased from our memory through a system of forced education. We were taught to see these masterpieces of engineering as nothing more than a means of transportation, so that we would never wonder who actually laid these arteries underground. We see these anomalies, which are impossible to see, in every tiny detail. Look at the perfect waterproofing of many old tunnels, which have not leaked for over 100 years, despite the complete absence of modern polymeric materials in the 19th century. How could they achieve such incredible tightness with simple lime and sand? They couldn't. This is the geopolymer concrete of Tartaria, which only gets stronger with each passing decade, absorbing moisture and turning into artificial stone. This is a higher order technology that we have completely lost and are now pathetically trying to imitate with petroleum products. Ask yourself, where have all the records of the production and logistics of the billions of perfectly fired red bricks used to build the London Underground in the 1880s disappeared? To produce such an astronomical amount of material would have required hundreds of factories working non-stop for decades, and armies of wagons for 2 4-hour delivery. But in the archives, we find only a few amateur sketches and the names of a few fake contractors. This is not the real history of construction. This is just the history of the legalization of found objects. They created a fictitious paper trail for the already existing infrastructure so that future generations of deceived citizens would never doubt their human, primitive origins. We live in an era of great inheritance, where every so-called technical achievement of ours is just a successful attempt to start the mechanism left to us by a previous civilization. The underground railways are just the tip of a huge iceberg, the visible part of our lost heritage. Beneath our feet lie entire floors of buried cities, connected by highways that once traveled the giants of Tartaria. And it is during the cleaning of the subway that these secrets most often break to the surface, which is why they so carefully monitor any archaeological finds in the subway, immediately classifying them under the guise of technical work. Each new subway branch that is opened today is often just a deconsecrated and renovated section of the ancient network that we are not supposed to know about. I urge you, to be extremely attentive. The next time you stand on the platform waiting for a train, look at the masonry of the vaults, at the strange ventilation grills, at the massive metal rings in the walls, the purpose of which no one can explain. These are not decor or technical trifles. These are the remains of great technologies that we have not yet learned to understand. The stones cannot lie, but they have taught us not to hear their voice over the noise of official propaganda. It is time to start listening. Look at your city with different, sober eyes. Look for entrances that have been hastily walled up. Look for tunnels that suddenly end or lead to nowhere according to official maps. Each such anomaly is a crack in their wall of lies. Remember that what we call history is not what actually happened, but what was convenient for those who conquered and seized power over resources to write. But their power only lasts as long as you believe in their primitive tale. Every fact we discover, every logical anomaly, breaks down the wall of our collective prison. The global reset failed to destroy absolutely everything. The tunnels of Tartaria are still there, deep underground. They pierce our planet like arteries, reminding us of who we were and who we must become again if we find the courage to reclaim our stolen heritage. The truth lies right before your eyes, deep beneath your feet, recorded in millions of bricks that remember the warmth of another sun. Go outside, go underground, and feel that cold, silent certainty of old stone. He knows the true date of our history. He knows the true names of the heroes. And he waits patiently for us to become worthy of his great secrets again. You are no longer alone in your search for the truth. We are a memory that has begun to awaken all over the world at the same time. And this awakening can no longer be stopped by any orders, fires in the archives, or censorship on the internet. The history of Tartaria continues at every step you take, in underground labyrinths that supposedly should not exist according to the laws of their science. But they do, and they are a part of us. Ask yourself again, why every major 19th century subway project has the names of the same elite families who later monopolized the oil and electricity markets. They simply came and privatized what belonged to everyone. They closed off access to the free energy of the tunnels, turning them into commercial enterprises. You pay to move through the arteries of the civilization they helped destroy. This is the highest degree of cynicism that we accept as the norm. But now that you know about the period of inheritance, you will never look at a subway token as an ordinary ticket. It is an entrance fee to a museum of our own defeat, which is presented to us as the pinnacle of progress. Look closely at the massive cast iron columns in old stations. Have you noticed the intricate ornaments on them, reminiscent of the boards of modern computers? Official science tells us that this is simply the fashion of the time. But we know that in the world of Tartaria there was no room for unnecessary details. Every band of metal had its own frequency, every ornament its own function in the energy transmission system. They simply painted over these masterpieces with cheap paint so that we would see nothing in them but a support for the ceiling. This is systematic erasure in action, to hide the complex behind the primitive, to transform the magic of technology into everyday grayness. I leave you with these questions not to scare you, but to awaken your analytical mind. We live in a foreign setting, but we have a right to know the names of the real architects. Look deeper. Look for anomalies. Don't let the official narrative define the boundaries of your reality. The next time you hear the rumble of a train in a tunnel, remember, that sound has been here much longer than we are allowed to know. The true history of the Underground Railroad is still waiting to be fully excavated from beneath a layer of centuries of dirt and lies. And we are the ones who hold the shovels of truth in our hands. Finally, just imagine the scale of the logistical operation. Hundreds of thousands of workers, millions of horse-drawn carriages, endless mountains of soil in the middle of London in 1860. Where is all this in the engravings and photographs of that time? You will find only empty streets and a few gentlemen in top hats. Where has the grandeur of the process gone? It never existed in the form described to us. There was only the quiet, systematic clearing of silted-up passages that already connected continents under the ocean floor. Yes, the tunnels of Tartaria went much further than the borders of one city, but that is a topic for another file in my archive. The world is much larger and more complex than we are allowed to see through the window of a subway car. Every trip is a journey through time, even if you do not suspect it. Now, you know the truth, and this truth makes you dangerous to their system. Protect this knowledge. It is the key to your liberation. The real hour of annihilation has passed, but the hour of our awakening is coming right now. The stones have begun to speak. Are you ready to hear it? Every brick under your feet is the voice of 1,000-year-old Tartaria breaking through the thickness of official dirt. We are not just passengers. We are masters returning home to our underground palaces. Look at the world differently. Seek the truth. It is already here, right beneath you, at every step. In every breath of underground air that smells of ozone and forgotten greatness, we have opened the archive. Now it is your turn to act. History is not over. It only begins with your first independent question. And remember, they see your doubt, and that is why they are so afraid that you will stop paying for entry to your own past. Open your eyes. Time has passed. No more numbers. Only the truth. Only Tartaria. Only your awakening. The coordinates of deception have been erased. The path is clear. Go down and see. Now you know everything you need to begin. The rest depends on your courage to see the obvious in the darkness of the tunnels. We are closing this file, but the archive remains open for those who are not afraid of the light of truth. See you underground, where stones never lie, where we will once again become who we were before the Great Reset. The world awaits your comments. Tell the world what you have found beneath your feet. This is the beginning of the end of their power over our time. The end of the official narrative is near. You are witnesses to its collapse. Go and see. Now you are ready. Forward, into the depths of truth, through the dirt, to the stars of Tartaria that shine underground. There are no more secrets. There is only a hidden reality. Discover it for yourself, right now. In every car, in every tunnel. The truth is with you, forever, without doubts, without numbers. Only us, only now. End of connection. Until the next disclosure. The archivist of the Forbidden Truth is with you. Remember this at every station of your life. You are not just passengers. You are researchers. And this path leads home, forever, to the truth, to Tartary, to victory over deception. Every day, every minute, from now on and forever. Thank you for your attention. Be attentive to the stone. It knows everything, and it is ready to speak to you. Listen to it, right now, in the silence of the subway. This is the voice of our future, which came from our great past. Don't miss it. Be ready. Everything is just beginning. For real. For the first time in 200 years, we are returning. And the tunnels are already open for us. Every day, forever. No options for them. Only for us. Only victory. Only truth. End of file. The archive is sealed until next time. Thank you. Take care of yourself in the darkness, because you are the light forever in every tunnel, in every break. History belongs to you. Take it. Just now. Be free. Be archivists of truth every day of your life. Forward to the victory of truth over the darkness of deception. We will win because we remember, and this is our main weapon. The coordinates of deception are revealed. The target is destroyed. We are free. Finally, truly, thank you. The archivist is with you, always, in every thought, in every step. Walk into the light of truth. It is already here, under your feet, in every subway tunnel. Look, listen, remember. This is your world, yours, forever, without doubts, without fear, only knowledge, only power, only Tartaria. The end, the complete end of deception, the beginning of truth, right now, in your heart, in your mind, in your city. Thank you for everything. We are together, forever, in truth. See you later. The archive is open. Read it, live it, be it. Every day, in every tunnel, forward to victory. Archivist of the forbidden truth, forever with you. The end, the true end of lies. The light has won. Look, this is it. Shining underground, for you, only for you. Thank you. Be happy in the truth. It is beautiful, like our past, like our future. Forward, forever, to Tartaria, to the truth, to life, without deception, without numbers. Only us, only now. Thank you, the archive is sealed. See you, right now, in the tunnels of your memory. Forward, always forward, to the truth, to victory. Thank you. The world is with you, you with the truth. All is well. Now all is well. We are back. Finally. Thank you. Archivist. The end. Complete. Without